Hi, I'm Lisa Andrea, Transformation Life Coach. Welcome to the Ladies Who Leap podcast, where guests share their inspiring stories of leaping out of their comfort zone with confidence and power and into a life of purpose and fulfillment. Let's listen to their life-changing stories so that we can all learn how to gain the courage to take a leap of faith into a life that we love so that we can all be Ladies Who Leap. Let's get started. Hi, thanks for joining. This is Ladies Who Leap podcast, and I'm Lisa Andrea. Today, I'd like to introduce Damon Jones, U.S. Air Force veteran, author, and video content and online presence strategist. As a Ladies Who Leap podcast, Damon's story will not only inspire the men in your life, but also all the ladies. Damon wrote a book at the start of the pandemic to share his personal story to help any boys and men who might be struggling with the issues associated with abandonment. His book, titled Abandonment, The Plague of Most Men, openly shares his personal story of being an angry boy to a prideful and stubborn male who masqueraded as a man. He then was able to use his faith in God to leap out of his own comfort zone, to embrace and love himself completely. This led to start using his God-given talent to help others. One of his mantras is, you can do whatever you put your mind to. Hi, Damon.
Hello, how are you?
Thanks for joining us today.
Well, thank you for having me.
I met Damon recently at a local city chamber morning mixer where I was the host and speaker at the event, right? And we had a great discussion. And our stories, or your story, intrigued me because our stories had a little bit of some similarity in it on where things started. So about being bullied in the younger years. And what led you? We were just having a discussion before we started the podcast, and I said, "Hold on, we got to get this on tape." What led you to even come to that chamber meeting? Because you're not a member. Yeah.
Well, I'm to the point in my life where starting back from the bully days, now I'm at the point where I like to go out and meet new people, going to environments where I don't know anybody, because before it was the opposite. I would always avoid and isolate. So now I love meeting people, just expressing myself the way that I know I've always been created to be, which is an encouragement. So that's what brought me to that event, because I'm always looking for somewhere to go. But when I saw that what you were going to be speaking about, that was one of the attractors for me, to be honest.
Mm. Well, thank you. That's cool. So we both experienced bullying. And then for me, I also experienced the art of invisibility in high school. I told myself I mastered that art of invisibility. And it turned me into a woman that was afraid to show who she is for fear of losing friendships, right? Because I didn't trust other women. So what happened in your school age years that led to your life going down a not so positive path?
Well, as a child, early on, I mean, I was a shy kid, and unfortunately, kids are cruel in many cases, because when you're quiet, you don't know how to express yourself. So for me, I didn't know how to express myself, so I became the target of everybody's jokes or anything like that. So because of that, I saw that the adults around me and anybody else around me, they were not standing up for me. From a kid's perspective, that's what I saw. So I internalized all of that. So all respect to my mom, she raised me. My father was not in the picture, but the thing about it is, there's a difference between male and men. And the thing is, I had a lot of males around me. We have the body parts, but the thing is, a man is that person that's actually not only doing what he's supposed to do within his role of provider and everything else that comes with that, but the bullying aspect, that really grew the root of anger within me. And it basically transformed me into a rageful young male, and that never transformed into a man until I found God, and he had already always had his hand on me. But the thing is, the bullying is what kept me from seeing him, is the fact that I was like, wait a minute, I just feel like I'm alone here. Nobody's sticking up for me. But I don't, I should say, I don't regret having that experience, because now it's made me that person that understands what it's like to be that underdog to be the person that people overlook. So my eyes are always open to looking for people that are being overlooked. If I go anywhere, whether they're sweeping the floor or they or wherever they are, I want to make eye contact and say, I see you. I appreciate what you do. And it's just something about seeing people light up. I don't do it for accolades or anything because it's like, you know what, this is why I exist, is to help other people realize that they matter. They are important. Even if they don't hear that somebody appreciates them, that even if they don't hear it, somebody is, I'm proud of you. I love what you're doing. Even though you may seem, it seems it's insignificant to you, it's appreciated by many people that may not verbalize it to you. So keep up the great work. So that's what it's made me, is that encourager.
So obviously, learning from past experiences and turning into a positive is something that you've done. How did you actually find the courage to take that step, to take that leap into making that change in your life? And you mentioned your faith in God's, that's very important. And also I believe you had explained also there were women,
Yes.
family members in your life that also were very supportive. Can you talk about that
Yes.
experience?
I grew up in Texas. My grandmother, I made it on her prayers, my mother's prayers, and now my wife of 23 years. But the thing is, when I was young, church was never explained to me. And from a kid's perspective, I really started to grow a resentment towards my grandmother. But the thing is, when I look back with maturity, I see she did the best she could, and she was doing what she knew what was best. So I had to ask for forgiveness for having that type of attitude towards her. So my mother, because of my story of abandonment, she actually fled Texas to get away from my father because he was so abusive. He's now passed on, but I've reconciled. But the thing is, this is the truth of the story, is because the truth has to be shared, because there's so many of us that go through these things, male and female. The thing about abandonment, the thing is with my father, um, he abandoned me, but the thing about it is he couldn't teach me how to be someone that nobody had ever taught him. But I had to get to the point of maturity and understand that I had to forgive him in order to be able to see the bigger picture so that I could move on. But when it started with my grandmother, when I turned 18, I ran away from the church because nobody had ever really explained that it was about a relationship with Christ for me. So for me, when anybody tried to approach me when it came to Christianity or anything, I pushed them away because the bullying route had already taken place, and I didn't want to be part of anything hypocrisy. In my mind, that's what I thought it was. I would look in the physical saying, you know what, see, they're preaching this, but I see them doing the opposite. So, I don't want to be a part of any of that. So I was blinded for so many years. So my mother, when she arrived in California, that's when the bullying really started for me. Um, Elementary, junior high, it was just to the point of where, I never thought about killing myself or taking my own life, but it was, and the thing, it was just, I felt like nobody loved me. My mother, all respect, but I just felt so isolated within myself, my older brother, my older sister that I grew up with. I just felt like I didn't have anybody to turn to, but all the while, this anger was boiling within inside me. So I'm going to come back to that. So my grandmother, my mother's prayers, and now my wife of 23 years. So I'm touching on this because 18 into 23 years, because of my abandonment by my earthly father, it kept me from seeing my heavenly father. And the thing about it is, I didn't know how to step up and be a man. So 18 into 23 years, I was just a little boy inside that refused to blossom out, because the guy you see in the picture in the background here, in the back of this guy, was a child inside. But because of the bullying, I grew this large exterior to protect the child inside. So when people that really meant to help me or go deep with me, I would push them away. I didn't want anybody getting close to me, because the closer they got to me, they would see my heart and see who I wasn't. So I was afraid of that. So growing up in an environment where you're called a punk, you cry, you do this, you're less than a man, I didn't know that that wasn't true. But these emotions that I was feeling inside, like I feel like crying, but I can't. That means, I'm not a man. So you have to basically say suck it up and all this, but I knew there was another side to it, but I wanted validation and affirmation so bad that I just wanted to become that wannabe. I grew up in Compton, and at the time, that was when crack was real big and everything like that. I was never in a gang, but the thing is, growing up in the neighborhood gave me that background in my mind. So I'm sharing that because when I went in the military, um, people really started paying attention to me because by that time I started really gaining some size, and I thought that was like, wow, this is attention. But it was negative attention. So they started affirming me, validating me, something that I never even knew that I was seeking. So every male that I met, young or old, I didn't realize I was searching for my earthly father who had abandoned me. I didn't realize in any relationship, oh, they're paying attention to me. Oh my goodness, they love me. They like me. So I didn't realize the unhealthiness of that because people began to take advantage of me because they could see that I didn't know my own value. They could see that I didn't know who I was. So when people see me now that knew me over the years, they're like, you lost a lot of weight. I said, no, no. What it is, I've shed the false exterior and now I'm comfortable with who I am. So the person that you see now is finally operating in a peace that now I don't, it's irrelevant what a person thinks of me. If I need to help someone, I'm not looking to see, well, if I help this person, will I lose their friendship or not like me? I say, if that person needs help, I'm going to help them in spite of whatever anybody else is doing. And the comfort I feel with that is peace. And connecting that with purpose video services, what I do now is the fact that I was afraid to operate in my creativity because I was afraid of what people might think of me. So that was the biggest thing that kept me from taking a step forward is always wanting to have validation and affirmation and so forth. But my turning point didn't happen until COVID hit. When I started operating in this gift, I actually, prior to that, I went to a book signing. My background is real estate, mortgages, and so forth. It's total opposite, nowhere near video. But I've always been a creative, so I'm kind of paint that story. Just always a creative, always afraid to operate in it. But fast forward, when I knew that it was this voice screaming from inside, just operate in this thing. So I told myself I'm going to do the opposite of what I don't want to do, which is go and go to events that have a lot of people. So I started scrolling Facebook and I saw a book signing. I've never been to a book signing, but 4 weeks pass. My wife, she mentions it to me. Saturday comes along. She's like, don't you have somewhere to be, babe? I said, she said, I think you should go. And now to this day, I understand why men should listen to their wives because she's helped me meet the expectations of what God has always wanted me to be. I'll put that right there. So when I went to this event, soon as I get there, I didn't know this person. So she told me that I should go. I said, well, I'll go. I'll sit in the back. I'll just leave in 5 minutes. I'll just say I went. So as soon as I get there, I get a wave. Hey, Facebook friend. I'm like, oh, I can't leave. So now she's acknowledged me. So long story short, as I'm sitting there, a gentleman sits next to me. He happens to be the publisher for her. So I started recording with my smartphone. No editing equipment, no video, or anything like that. I was still in real estate at the time. So once I did that, I saw him while they were signing the books. I said, I'm not a stalker. I said, but we're going to be working together. I don't know what this means. I said, I just had to tell you that. I'm feeling that I need to. He wanted God wanted me to put a bookmark in his mind that this moment happened. So I went home, edited on my makeshift computer and so forth, posted it, tagged him. He calls me. Why would you make a video for somebody? I said, I'm just trying to figure out what I'm supposed to be doing. I said, I know I have creativity, but I just don't know what to do. He said, hey, since I got you on the phone, I'm launching my publishing company. Would you like to handle the video production for that? So before I could even say anything, my voice started speaking. Sure, what does that entail? And what date, what time, and what's the location? I was like, would you be quiet? You don't even have any equipment. You have a smartphone.
Talk about
So,
leaping out of your comfort zone. You were just
yes,
ready to go. That's the way
yes,
to do it. Wow. And
yes,
you're going by your intuition, which is
yes.
so important. Yeah.
And I didn't even know that that was going to come out of my mouth, but it just happened. And once that happened and we got off the phone, I said, what did you just do? So I said, okay, well, I'm in it. So I got on YouTube, started searching what is a red carpet, what is step and repeat, all of these things. What kind of equipment will I need? So all these boxes started arriving on the porch. My wife is like, "What are you?" I see. "Yeah, I've got to do an event. I've got to figure out how to use this stuff."
Oh my
So
gosh, how funny.
yeah, my gift is creativity. So come to find out, I love editing. And come to find out, the editor is the most important part of the production. So being
Interesting.
able to be that creative that says, okay, what's your story? Oh, this is how we need to capture the shots. This is what needs to happen. So that's what's brought me to this day now is that when I hear someone's story, whether it's that for the social media, it all comes together because now I have the confidence, in spite of my past bullying, in spite of my abandonment by my father, who I had to forgive at his grave because he passed without even wanting to say hello to his son. So the thing about that is that I didn't get peace with that until I was sent to his grave to ask. God basically orchestrated it in a way where I had to go to his grave to forgive him. But I wrestled with God, which I lost. So I was very angry at the grave, just saying words I can't even remember. But when I got through with him, I turned the finger back to myself and I said, you know what? I take full responsibility for using him as an excuse to be who I am and not being willing to grow into who you've always intended me to be. So, with that said, snotting and crying and everything that goes with that, that's where the next level of my healing came from. And that's when I began to see, okay, well, now I need to start operating um, past the business aspect and start looking at how I can help people.
Mm. So what message do you share with young men in their life journey so that you can help them on that path to love themselves no matter their circumstances? What is it that you say to lift them up?
The main thing I share whenever I'm speaking, first I'll look at who my audience is. Most times it's young men and boys, and I share with them transparency and vulnerability are strengths. I said, it's not weakness. I said, it makes you strong. I said, it doesn't make you less of a man. It makes you more of a man. I said, don't be held by that lie that society tells you that you have to hold your emotions in. Express yourself. Express yourself according to how you're feeling because it's okay to feel. So I share about if you've had struggles in the past that led you. At 5 years old, I saw my first pornography. And the thing about that is, it really twisted my view of how I viewed women. It made me objectify women. It made me not respect women, even though I said I had big respect for my mother, but I became a hypocrite and not even realizing that I was doing exactly what I despised, being part of a few abortions because of my lack of compassion, not understanding the fact that it takes two. So with that, I speak about the vulnerability and the transparency. In addition to, I share the story of what I'm continuing my journey of healing by attending groups like Celebrate Recovery. It's all about addressing your hurts, habits, and hangups. Anything you're dealing with from your past, anything that seems like a surface issue is usually a root cause to it. So I'm always asking God, what is this? Why do I get angry for this? Or why do I get annoyed for that? What is that root? Oh, when I was 7, or when I was 10. Help me to be more aware when these things come up so that I can continue to grow and not be stymied in any kind of way. So I share accordingly to what's on my heart. But the main thing, like I said, is transparency, vulnerability. And if you don't know what to do, the thing is check with other men that are really trying to do the right thing, not males with the body parts. I mean, a lot of guys think because we have the body parts, that makes us men. And it's all respect and it's no disrespect on any kind of man. But the thing is, until I made a decision, I made a choice and said, you know what? I don't know how to be a man. But the thing is, I had men coming up to me that were trying to pour into me to encourage me. So these are the type of messages, depending on who I'm sharing with, that I share with the audience, whether it's dealing with sexual lust, abandonment, bullying, whatever it is, whatever I've gone through and whatever programs that I've gone through and I continue to be a part of, I share that. Just like with the abortions, there was a weekend intensive I went to. I never knew it existed, but it was revealed to me through one of the events that I was filming. It was about a weekend intensive about addressing past abortion hurts. And I used to think, just like many men, that it's, well, it's about the woman. No, no, it's about the guy healing too. And a lot of guys don't acknowledge that there is pain there too, because there is a soul involved. So I say 3 abortions, but they were probably more. And I say that it's, I don't say that out of boasting, but it's just truth. I like to lay these things out because these are things, especially men, don't talk about. Um, when I went to that weekend, I didn't know what to expect, but I went with an open heart and mind saying, God, if there's some, please help me with this. I said, I have this ache. I don't know what that is. I'm willing, just show me. So at the end of the weekend, after sharing everything and thinking, I had thought I had forgiven my father. They said, go write an anger letter. I said, well, I don't have anybody I'm angry with. They said, well, go to your room, just sit there with the paper, something will come to you. And they said, don't try to justify, just start writing. Don't say, so I went in on my father, didn't even realize I was still angry. You weren't there for me. If you were there, I probably would have did this or that. And so I just went. And after I got done, I'm like, wow, I didn't even know that was there. So there was another level of my healing with that. So it's just very uh in, inspiring for me when I'm helping other people to be able to be so transparent and vulnerable. And that came through my wife sharing with me that you become very transparent and vulnerable. I had never thought about that
Mm.
because before I used to think it was a weakness and no, but finally to know that I knew that my wife was my best friend. I 18 into 23 years, like I said, I was a little boy that refused to grow up and be a man and lead his family, but I didn't feel worthy that I could. But that was before I continued to deepen my relationship with Christ, because if I didn't do that, I realized it's not me. It's about me showing up each day, 24 hours, moment by moment, to see who I can serve. Has nothing to do with my profession. It's like, who can I serve today? So when it came to the abortion towards the end of that weekend intensive, we actually had a ceremony, like a funeral.
Mm.
So we named each baby. So in my case, it was baby Jones 1, baby Jones 2, and 3, because sadly, I couldn't remember the names. And at that ceremony, I could do nothing but cry before I could even say any words. And I didn't realize that that pain was there. But after that, I felt like a peace because I felt like I had given them the proper recognition that they existed. And it gave me a sense of just peace and knowing that I'm on the right path of my healing from my hurts, my habits, and my hangups.
Wow. So we had a little bit of a discussion before now too, and one of the interesting things we both acknowledged is that helping others actually helps ourselves.
Yes.
And it's not to be in a selfish sense, but it's just a reciprocal thing that when you realize that and you are focused on helping others, that it just helps you to understand more about yourself, because
Yeah.
there's a lot of things and people that you talk to. I'm sure you've had young boys come up to you and say, well, this really resonated with me. I understand that now. I think I'm going to change my behavior going forward. So they learned from you, or sometimes they'll give you some nuggets and you go, oh,
Yes.
wow. And you could learn from them. It's
Yes.
really a cool thing how that happens. So, in closing, I'd love to have you explain how do people get in touch with you for your services. And then if you have, other than the wonderful mantra I had here, you can do whatever you put your mind to. If there's any other special quotes or positive affirmations or anything that you think of and say on a regular basis, share that with us too, please.
Most definitely. Well, like Lisa said, my name is Damon Jones of Purpose Video Services. I actually assist business owners and nonprofits with their online presence. I'm a veteran-owned company. Any information you'd like to receive, it would be at purposevideoservices.com. If you'd like to reach me directly, it would be 562-688-6279. You can call or text, and you just for any information that you may need, you can just reach out to me. But I'm definitely looking forward to connecting with you. So how I usually start my day is always about thinking about this 24 hours. 24 hours is all we have.
Mm.
This is something that my wife and I talk about. It's about this 24 hours. So we focus on the day, not tomorrow, because tomorrow has enough trouble of its own. So we don't have anything else but today, and we can't be anxious about tomorrow because we don't know what that's going to bring. We don't know what the next moments are going to bring. A lot of times, if we focus too much in the future, it's robbing us of our present. So keep that in mind.
Thank you. Some great wise words. Well, Damon, thank you for joining us today on Ladies Who Leap. I am a believer, even though we're called Ladies Who Leap, that the
Right.
ladies love to learn from, I call them lads, right? Ladies and lads, that we love to learn from the men. And a lot of the Ladies Who Leap have children that are men or will turn into men and are boys. So thank you for that inspirational information. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. Thank you for joining. And Ladies Who Leap podcast.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Thanks so much for listening or watching. Please subscribe to the Ladies Who Leap podcast to be notified of new episodes. And I would love to hear from you. Let me know what works, what doesn't, and if you have a story to tell, please reach out. Come join the Leap community at the Ladies Who Leap Club Facebook group. Remember, leaping out of your comfort zone is where the magic happens.